Hello, my name's Jose. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I think you should keep in mind when it comes time to buying your racing simulator. The first thing that I always ask when I'm working with somebody that's just getting into a simulator is what their goals are. So I've worked with people that are just getting into this. They are either enthusiasts, they are either a professional racing driver that needs guidance into getting into a simulator. So there's quite a large spectrum of people that are getting into a simulator. With that being said, there's also a large spectrum of goals. So there could be the type of person where the simulator could be a hobby. It could be, just a pastime to, like we did during COVID. When COVID hit, everybody needed a pastime to kill a lot of hours during the day. And, what better way to do it than driving virtual cars with some of the best hardware in the world. So, having a clear definition of what your goals are is going to answer a lot of questions in terms of what you need for a simulator. For me, I've made a lot of costly mistakes over the years, although I ended up in a very lucky position where I spent nearly 4 years working with a manufacturer and retail of simulators. So I got to play around with a lot of hardware, a lot of new hardware that came out, and test a lot of hardware without ever having to pay for it. So, it was a very lucky position to be in. So I really started understanding what I wanted. The things that were most important to me were software, performance, and build quality. Over on the software side, there's a lot of different pieces of software that will run direct drives. So for me, I went back to my goals of, I want to be able to get the most out of this thing. I want to be able to compete online, and I want to be able to fine tune as much detail as I can. For me, I have never been on a racetrack. I have very little idea of what an actual race car feels like on a track, so I'm just going off of what I feel through my hands and through the wheel. So something like the Simucube TrueDrive software that I use, that gives me an enormous amount of tunability. The next thing I want to discuss is seating position. Now, I came from a Playseat Formula One chair. I ran that for nearly 2 years, and I very clearly remember the day where I was running a Watkins Glen race, and after 40 minutes, I had to stop the race because of how bad my back was hurting. So I'm even running now from just a gaming chair. It's just a small cushion that I have back here, and being in a GT chair, ever since that Watkins Glen race, from that day is the day that I made the decision to get a GT cockpit. And being in a GT cockpit, I've done stints of 3 to 4 hours, and yeah, just any regular fatigue, but it's definitely a lot easier to run in a GT cockpit rather than a Formula One cockpit. I work with a lot of people that want to get into an F1 style cockpit. I've built F1 style cockpits, and they're beautiful. They're very pretty to look at. They look great in the room. But then again, going back to my goals of what I wanted to do, a GT cockpit made the most sense. If you're somebody that really enjoys Formula One and is just dedicated to that, then something like the Track Racer TRX, that Playseat F1, Sparco makes a chair that you're able to put into a formula position. So there's definitely ways to do it. There's definitely ways to do it comfortably as well. So again, it's all part of what your goals are and how far you want to go in terms of how you want to build out your simulator for that. The next thing I want to talk about is hardware. Now, there's hardware out there for entry-level stuff, mid-level stuff, and all the way up to pro-level stuff. So depending on your goals, depending on your budget, there's something that should fit your needs. Some of the things that you should keep in mind with hardware are the after-sales support and how the software runs. So do your research on the software, do your research on what the user experience is, on what the software is like, so that you have an idea of what that's going to be when you get it. Something like Simucube offers an enormous amount of tunability, like I said. Something like the AccuForce as well, through SimExperience, will provide a lot of data as well. But then you've got something like the SimMagic system and Moza, which are much more user-friendly, while still giving you really great performance. If you have any questions at all specific to hardware, make sure you leave a comment below. I answered to pretty much all of the comments here, so if you have a question at all, leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you. You can also visit us at www.velocityprosims.com to learn all about what we can do for you in terms of support. After sales support is something that I want you to keep in mind when you're buying your simulator, because you're not just buying a toy. You're not buying something simple that's just going to plug in and you're going to be one and done and that's it. There's a lot of hardware here. This is a commitment. This is an investment, especially if you're getting into something where you're buying all the bells and whistles, as they say. So keep that in mind, that there are lots of companies that are out there. Make sure you try to develop a relationship with somebody at one of those companies, so that when you're building a sim, they can help you out in the best way that they can with all of the pieces of hardware. That's essentially why we started Velocity Pro Sims, to try and provide the most personal support when it comes to simulators. There's a lot of people out there that get overwhelmed with all the systems of simulators, so being able to provide support, it puts me in a position where I'm able to share all of the knowledge that I've acquired and hopefully eliminate a lot of headaches. The last thing I want to talk about is budget. And working with somebody like me, if you give me any kind of a budget, I should be able to pretty easily tell you, depending on your goals, what sort of hardware makes the most sense for you. I've seen different price brackets through the years of what it takes to buy a certain type of simulator. So starting off with a $3,000 simulator, you're looking at something like an Extreme Chassis P1 with an Xbox or a PlayStation and a belt-driven wheel. That's going to also include something like load-still pedals. Something in the $6,000 to $7,000 range, you could be looking at around the same type of cockpit, or something into the play seat range of cockpits. So you're looking to spend around $1,100 to $1,200 for a cockpit with a chair. It's going to include belt-driven peripherals or entry-level direct drive. That's also going to be a PC-based simulator, so keep that in mind. If you're trying to make your way into PC-based simulators, you're going to be spending a little bit more. So that $6,000 to $7,000 range should cover that. The next price bracket is the $12,000 to $15,000 range, and that's something like what I'm sitting in here now. So it's something with a direct drive, a full carbon fiber wheel, the button box, shifter, handbrake, the shakers, a bucket seat. This is an FIA rated bucket seat, the PC, the monitor, and just a whole bunch of other extras. So that $12,000 to $15,000 range. If you're looking for a turnkey simulator budget for something that's going to last you for a long time, that's roughly the price bracket that I've seen most people spending. The next price bracket up is the $22,000 to $25,000, and this is pretty much something just like this as well, but then you're adding something like full motion. In the case of this Ricmotech APX 2000, you could do something like SlipSense and G-Sense, or a lot of other cockpits. Those have the provisions for D-Box, so that could be another full motion system that you could look at. And if you want to look at rigs that are 100,000 and more, then they're definitely pretty cool to look at. They're fun. I had the chance to play with one at PRI back in 2019. And again, they're fun, but in my opinion, for what I'm trying to use them for, which is competing, they could be quite a bit of a distraction. So I hope all of that helped. I hope that that answers a lot of questions if you're still stuck in trying to make a decision on what simulator to buy. Remember that we're here for you to help you out in your pre-sale support. So if you're looking at just any questions that you have, we're here to answer any of those questions. And then after sales, if you have any questions on your sim, troubleshooting, or anything at all, we're here for you as well over at velocityprosims.com. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. See you later.